Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us at PTC-TV. We are here today with Marc Halbfinger, who is the CEO of PCCW Global, a guy most of you know, but for those of you who don't, he's a thoughtful, smart guy who went to the London School of Economics, and hopefully Marc will get a chance to talk about what that has meant to you in terms of your analytical skills. But to get to a couple of the innovations that you're most proud of, I think, at PCCW Global. You've been involved in a Console Connect program. Explain what that's about and what business value that drives for you.
Oh, thanks, Gary. PCCW Global just again is 100% owned by HKT, the publicly traded leading ICT service provider in Hong Kong, but PCCW Global operates globally. About 3 years ago, we acquired Console Connect, which was focused on automating network connectivity. We've been very much engaged in leveraging that acquisition, not as an add-on to PCCW Global, but rather as a platform to completely reshape PCCW Global. And arguably, Console Connect acquired PCCW Global because we've taken on a complete change of character in driving a technology-based approach to what used to be a standard carrier network. And we're quite pleased with where that's come in the last 3 years.
How does that relate to agility, for example?
That's spot on. We didn't prepare, but that's exactly it. We actually have been using SAFE, which stands for Scaled Agile Framework, as a framework inside our organization to create common language for the people who are involved in the traditional PCCW Global Network business and the people involved in software-based, technology-based delivery of automated services. And the first thing we noted was we needed a common language amongst all of our people in order to make sure that we were delivering a common view of the future. And SAFE, or Agile Frameworks, help provide that. It gives us transparency in terms of resources allocated. It helps deliver value set. A little bit of a misnomer around Agile is that it means fast. I'm not sure that that's quite accurate. Agile, in our view, means clear, transparent, commonly understood throughout the organization, and it helps give a very set cadence to development and what can be delivered inside the organization and to an external user.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about agility. I seem to recall for virtually all of my telecom careers, 35 years, maybe more than that now, we have been searching for the holy grail of what we used to call on-demand bandwidth, that we'd be able to literally provision on the fly the resources that you need. And when you tell us you're done, you can order them turned off and we can do that on the fly. It sounds like you're actually getting pretty close to that vision.
Well, we are. We're Console Connect's first objective was to create automated direct connects to cloud, and we facilitated that from PCCW Global's IP infrastructure to allow any user really to create an automated cross connect to any one of the major clouds out there. That includes Western clouds, Chinese clouds, and now some European clouds and Korean ones as well. You can go into the consoleconnect.com website and see all of that. It's easily done and it's all automated. It really doesn't need a salesperson or some sort of technical interface there. And then just a couple weeks before Christmas, we launched Internet on Demand. And we think that's a world first to some extent, which allows not only direct connect to cloud, but now you're able to have a network to network automated connection exactly as you're looking for. This is at the IP level, layer 3. Automating layer 3, automating layer 2, which we'd already done in order to provide the direct connect to cloud. I think all that is really quite exciting. So having that availability is very important. And as verticals become more complex, particularly in the IoT space, the other important element of what we do is to automate user-to-user interconnection. So if I'm an airline that wants to interconnect with some sort of unique information to a jet manufacturer, an engine manufacturer, or to an airport, we're able to create that on-demand interconnect relationship on the fly as well, provided both users are part of the Console Connect platform arrangement. So I think that is very important. The technical interconnect is there, but also the financial settlement relationship is increasingly becoming available. being able to automate the technical interconnect and to automate the financial settlement of a transaction. Having those two combined has been the real challenge, and I think that we're quite a ways down the road in assuring that users will be able to make themselves actually behaving more efficiently on a more on-demand basis, exactly as you say. Not sure if we're yet at the holy grail of every unit of bandwidth, but we're moving along at a nice pace.
So one of the issues that we often find with advanced technology as it's applied to the actual conduct of the communications business is artificial intelligence or machine learning or blockchain. And it sounds sexy and glamorous, but it's kind of hard to figure out how we end up using it practically to support our business operations. Where does blockchain fit for you?
Well, that's fair, and I think a bit of a call out also to PTC. I think one of the beauties of PTC is the integration of academia, and I believe that in some of these research areas, particularly around blockchain or distributed ledger, where there's a lot of place to go around zero knowledge proofs and everything that's happening, not just around financial settlement, but also in interrogating information and security along the network using distributed ledger as a manner of verification in and amongst multiple users to complex ICT situations. I think in that regard, we are at PCCW Global doing a good piece of work by bringing in more PhDs and engaging in R&D, starting to write patents that can fit to that environment. But our objective really is not for PCCW Global, but more for the industry. We believe that the industry will be better served by having a global distributed ledger environment that will be able to automate transactions. The more we want to go to an automated ICT environment that mixes and matches between different components of our environment, which would be cloud, network, applications, other, whatever that may be, it's important to make sure that all components of the relationship are automated. Otherwise, the interconnects and interoperability will look a little bit lumpy or clumsy even, and that won't get us where we want to be. And so we believe that distributed ledger as the glue, if you will, that will be able to put some of those pieces together, both from a financial settlement point of view, as well as security and interrogation of assets and environments is really quite critical. And our work there is also done together with others in the industry. And we believe that the industry as a whole should be moving in that direction. We've helped promote some of that in other industry forums. We've seen it in MEF, we have it in C-band. We're also involved in GSMA and in ETSI now in Europe. And I think that our contributions there are quite positive. And again, a call out to academia to get more involved in that space.
Let's switch gears for just a moment. I mentioned earlier that I was really impressed with your schooling at the London School of Economics. And I've also noticed that you are unusually adept at sort of getting quickly to the heart of a particular business problem that the PTC Board of Governors may be considering, for example. How did you get there? What tools did you learn? How do you approach business problems and solving them?
Let's see, I attended many years ago, over 30 years ago, I did my master's there in international relations with a focus on international political economy. I think for many years, it's always been valuable in order to take a look at evolving political and economic situations to understand the dynamics of a political and economic environment. The telecommunications component, all the technology really I've learned on the fly as I've been in the business for the last 30 years, starting in cable TV and then moving on to international telco over time. But I think that LSE and what I picked up there in international relations has been particularly valuable in the last 3-4 years as we've started to see a changing environment from the move that we've seen that was aimed at the last, let's say, 10-12 years to globalization, to the shift that we've taken place in the last 4 years, where countries are a bit more focused on their own borders. And obviously, we shouldn't ignore the US PRC trade tensions, which have led to different type of environmental situations and some sort of concerns that are also affecting our industry. My personal belief is that the ICT industry is here to help facilitate communications in and amongst people, regardless of the various border concerns. Obviously, every country needs to look after its own security. I wouldn't challenge that under any circumstance. But I think it's important to bear in mind that telecommunications networks, international telecommunications networks have been around since before the telephone. And undersea cables, as an example, have been around since 1850. We've seen many different forms of economic theory, economic ideology, political theory, political ideology. Having a historical context, which is, I guess, what I picked up at LSE, I think has been valuable to understand where things are headed. It's hard to predict the future, but having a good look at the past can at least be a helpful guidebook. And I think that in that regard, we're trying to stay level-headed. PCCW Global views itself as an international company that is seeking as much as possible to sit at the crossroads of the different ICT environments, both geographically and functionally. I think it's important that there be more interoperability that's better organized among cloud, network, and application. And that's really the mantra of Console Connect. And we'd like to do so while respecting all of the various laws, rules, and obligations that exist in any jurisdiction worldwide. That's going to be increasingly complex over the next few years. And to some extent, some of the educational training that I had has been helpful, but it is a new world and moving at a much faster pace, I should add. And I think each of us is going to have to work through the complexities as we go forward. But thanks for bringing that up.
And thanks for joining us today, Mark, at PTC TV.
Gary, thank you. It's great to be here.